you learn such different skills. And I remember one time we were being petrol bombed, and I just thought, how did I get here? How am I, little old me, doing this? I think the police have thought forward, and now there are 4 different pathways into policing, depending on your different qualifications. Doesn't matter what pathway you join, we're all paid the same, we all start at the same level, and then there's different pathways to go off and specialise in what you want to. So you could join with the intention of always being, right from the beginning, a detective.
Yep.
Or you could join the degree apprenticeship scheme, which is something quite new, but I think it really works for society and the youngsters, and how life is today.
Hi guys, today at the Future of Skills podcast, I'm so excited to introduce you to a different vertical, a vertical that I think a lot of young people, and not only young people, actually anyone in their life wanting to change their careers perhaps, or wanting to look after themselves into a different type of framework, might be interested in how to get a career in. Have a look into that. Police department. And so I'm here today with Heidi Lee, who is the police constable at Essex Police and is coming also from the Positive Action team, who is going to give us a lot of details around how to get into the police department through the apprenticeship scheme, how to stay there, and how to benefit the society, because it's a lot that Heidi has seen over the years. You've been in here for about 27 years, haven't you, Heidi? So without further ado, welcome.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for coming, Heidi. Shall we start from the very beginning? Can you please let us know a little bit more about yourself, about what you do within the Essex Police, and then how have you come about to begin your career within the Essex Police, to then see how the young people today can do it themselves?
Yeah, so I joined just under 27 years ago now. I have served for 20 years on the roads policing unit, so on traffic, and 7 years ago, I became a detective, and I was working on the serious collision investigation unit. So we were investigating all the road death that occurred in Essex. So anyone that died on the roads would come into us, and we would either do a coroner's investigation, or if it was a prosecution type investigation, that would take a little bit longer. And then about 1.5 years ago, I left that department, and I was very lucky to get a space on the Positive Action team, which is all about levelling the playing field so that everybody has the same opportunities. Doesn't matter if you have a disability or if you come from a different background, we're all afforded the same chances and the same ways forward. And that's what my role is. And I have to say, it's probably been the best 18 months of my service. I work with a wonderful team, I've got great support, and I'm really enjoying it.
And you're coming with a myriad of experiences from various points of view within the Essex department. And therefore, when it comes to your own career and how you've built it over the years, in 27 years, can you let us know how has that changed versus the apprenticeship scheme today? And what do the young people need to know when embarking on it?
Okay, so when I joined, and up until recent years, you all joined on the same way. You all joined in uniform, with the intention, of maybe doing 7 or 8 years on the front line,
yep.
Like we all see on the telly. And then you would perhaps think about specialising into something that you wanted to do. If you wanted to become a detective or go on traffic or, work with children or something like that. That's how it was.
Yep.
But it's all about modernising the police force now and meeting the society's needs as it is today. Lots have changed, 27 years is a long time. So I think the police have thought forward, and now there are 4 different pathways into policing, depending on your different qualifications. Sure. Doesn't matter what pathway you join, we're all paid the same, we all start at the same level, and then there's different pathways to go off and specialise in what you want to. So you could join with the intention of always being, right from the beginning, a detective.
Yep.
Or you could join the degree apprenticeship scheme, which is something quite new, but I think it really works for society and the youngsters, and how life is today. When I joined, you didn't have to have any specific qualifications, but this degree opportunity I think is fantastic. Hard work, because you join as a police officer from day one. You know, you wear the same uniform, you're learning the same stuff as I had to do. And you are also studying for a 3-year degree in professional policing. So it's a lot of work to work full-time shifts and then be studying as well. It's a big commitment. But what a gift. If I'd been offered that when I was younger, I think I would definitely have taken it. Policing in itself is so varied. Mm-hmm. You can obviously take your own route. You know, if you don't, some people aren't necessarily suited to being in uniform, or they perhaps don't enjoy it in the same way, but they might be really into investigation and maybe more thinking based. So then the detective route would be good for that. But we've got like dog section, we've got the marine section. Promotion is something that is very much encouraged. Doesn't matter what your background is or where you've come from, we all get the same chances. If you're prepared to work for it, they will support you. So personally, I didn't ever want to be promoted, but there are some people that do. And there are lots of opportunities. You've got to work hard for it. You've got to prove you're better than, you know, the next person that's being interviewed. But there are so many different things that you can do. It's one of those organisations that you can literally change every 2 or 3 years if you want to. If that's, you know, some people do, because they get, you know, they find they've mastered something, they want to move on to another, you know, another challenge, and that's really good. It's quite forward thinking now with regard to health and well-being. So, you know, flexi working patterns, you know, can be considered, obviously, once you're out of your probation and things like that.
Sure.
Compressed hours. The force do try and get you so that you're posted, you know, within not too distant away from where you live, because they know there's no value in someone after a night shift driving, you know, an hour and a half home. So they're very forward thinking now in the way that we're treated. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like any job, it's a big organisation. We have to, you know, we are uniformed. We have to do as we're told. And sometimes we might not necessarily agree with or fancy doing what we were told to do today, but you join the job, you know, you have to do what you're told and make the best of it. But it's fantastic. And some of the things I've been able to do, like when I was younger, in service and obviously a lot fitter, I did all my public order training, and that was absolutely fantastic. You learn such different skills. And I remember one time we were being petrol bombed, and I just thought, how did I get here? How am I, little old me, doing this? So some of the things I've done have been really, really interesting. I worked as a family liaison officer for 20 years of my service, and that I found the most rewarding. Because you're working with victims' families, mm-hmm. And trying to help them understand the investigative process, which is often very complex and drawn out. So if I got that bit right in supporting the families, hopefully, you know, they come out the other side of a prosecution. Whilst I can't put things right, I can't give them back their loved one. Hopefully I can support them through the process, so at least have an understanding, although it can be a frustrating system to go through. And there is nothing more rewarding than when parents of a child that's been lost in some way say to you, we couldn't have made it without you. Then you think, hopefully I've represented the force properly, you know, and policing
Absolutely.
in general. It's not just about me, you know, it's about the uniform, you know, that I wear. So there's all sorts of things you can do, which for me, is definitely, you know, attracts
rewarding,
me to
isn't
police.
it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, big time. And what you mentioned around different situations that you couldn't have imagined you'd be part of at the time. And then yet you've also shared that as part of your training, you're being given the type of, you know, passing on the skills that would help you to cope with those various situations and the unpredictable side of them too. When it comes to the studies, you've mentioned that there is a gift. Let's talk about the gift side of things, because I'm pretty sure that's something to do with tuition.
Yeah, so the good thing about the degree apprenticeship scheme is that obviously you join as a police officer, but from day one, the starting salary is just under £33,000, you know, which is not to be sniffed at. Obviously, you'll be working 40 hours a week. It will be shifts. You will be working weekends, and you'll be learning your trade as a police officer. But the good thing about the degree apprenticeship is that you will study 3 years for a degree in professional policing, and Essex Police and the government will pay for your tuition fees. So when you finish your studies and you've walked out all proud with yourself because you've got your degree, you're not left with any student debt because Essex Police have covered it for you. So it's going to be hard work, but I think that's a huge advantage, I think, and something that I would definitely have taken up had it been available when I was younger, Because
you did mention that in the time it wasn't being offered, and it's very new now. So obviously being part of that and being given the benefit of studying and not paying for those studies, it's huge benefit because it's very costly these days, isn't it, to receive a degree?
It is, and also students often have to work, don't they? As well as their studies, but at least this way, yes, you're going to be working, but at least you'll be getting enough to live on while you're studying. You'll also be learning a new trade. You don't know what you're going to be doing tomorrow, so it's going to be so varied. It's a good way to progress forward. You've got so many opportunities.
Heidi, you've mentioned that as part of the training, the candidates are being exposed to a lot of competences that they can gain throughout their journey. What do you think are some of the most valuable ones that we can actually frame as skills for life in that sense?
Yeah, certainly. Committing to something like policing will always make you more aware, I think, of the people around you. I think the training that we go through certainly can carry you into all different arenas. The training is very good. Some of the things we might have to deal with can be quite, challenging. But I know there's never been a time in 27 years where I've thought, I don't know what I'm going to do here. Even if you're not sure of something, it's just about reassuring the victim or the person that you're dealing with. And if you don't know the exact answer, it's okay to be open enough to say to that person, I've never actually dealt with this before, but I know somebody that will. Leave your details, reassure them, explain to them what you're going to be doing, next to find out, and when you're going to be back in contact with them. I've never had anyone be offended at that. Obviously, you have to make sure you follow it up. You go and seek your advice. You do your research. You get back to them, and you have a plan. So you don't have to know everything about the law all of the time. That pressure is not there. You have your colleagues. You've got your supervisors. You've got training school. We have a lot of computer-based packages, where we can find out pretty much whatever we want. So you're not expected to be, perfect from day one. One of the good things I think about policing is that I have made mistakes over the years, definitely. Who doesn't? But you don't get punished for making a mistake. As long as it's a genuine mistake and you haven't lied or you haven't done something through malice or because you're too lazy, you won't get into trouble. They might send you on a course. They might debrief you. But I've never been in trouble for forgetting to do something. As long as it's genuine, we're human. And I think that's the one good thing I like about policing, as long as, even if it's something, that could be quite impactful for someone, as long as it's a genuine mistake, you will be supported. Do something wrong, obviously, and tell mistruths and do things unlawful. And then obviously, you're going to realise how that works out. But it is nice to be in an environment where you don't feel blamed necessarily. Mm-hmm. You will be supported.
Heidi, thank you for sharing that and to help give the young people a little bit more of an idea of how this works from behind the scenes. And to wrap it up with that, can you please let us know a little bit more about the support team that you were sharing earlier? How does that work? And because the young people that might just get into their career might not, as you said earlier, be all ready from day one to cope with a variety of experiences and environments. And what is there at their disposal to be able to then get their way through it?
Yeah, so obviously, like you said, we never know what we're going to be dealing with next. So you've got your immediate colleagues and you work on a shift, on a team, so you get to know each other quite well. You've also got your supervisors who will generally have a lot more experience than you maybe, so they'll be able to recognise certain signs in you. But also Essex Police has invested a lot of money into trying to keep us healthy, both physically and mentally. So there's a lot of time is afforded to support networks. So we have networks for all different, we have 16 different networks. We have our federation, which is a bit like a union. So they would support you, with legislation and legal matters. But we also have the networks that you could turn to. So we have like a parenting network. So it might be that you work shifts and you've got a child. So that obviously can affect the hours that you're able to work. Obviously, we work for a uniformed organisation, so we have to do what we're told when we're told. And there does have to be, sometimes it can be hard for parents to juggle things. But there are networks that will help you through that. That might be able to intervene, give you advice. We have LGBT networks. We've got menopause network, for older ladies, not just for the people that might be menopausal or might have, certain issues, but also to support the supervisors in how they can support their staff. So it works well for everyone. We have MESA, which is the multi-ethnic support group. So anyone from a different cultural background will be supported by officers who might be the same culture and have a specific understanding, because we've all got different needs. We've got the Disability and Carers Network. So one of the things that that affected me personally and lots of other officers is being neurodivergent. I've just recently been diagnosed with ADHD, and I referred myself to the Disability Network, who have been fantastic and given me all sorts of ideas of how I can overcome the challenges that I have. I've had so much support. I haven't needed to for them to challenge anything for me, because actually the job's been really good at allowing me the little tweaks I need to be the best I can at work. So things like a quieter space to work, has been good for me. I work compressed hours, which definitely helps with my mental health and being as good as I can be, to stay at work and and get the job done. So there's all support networks that you might need. Might be that you've lost a child, or that you've been diagnosed with something that none of us would wish. So you will get the support out there. We also have an excellent occupational health team who are very busy, but they are very thorough, and they will help you, from the medical side of you. If you need anything adjusted or anything like that, they can help be that conduit in between, the organisation and yourself. So they're always very good, very into mindfulness. They run mindfulness courses, which are really good. We have a wellbeing passport. So someone like me, I could fill out the form if I want to, and it explains what my condition, how it presents, what I might need. So I can give this document, if you like, to a supervisor and just say, this is me. And we can have a meeting about it if we need to, but it eases the pathway. They're a lot more focused on our well-being than when I joined all those years ago. So it's a good job, and you are supported, and I think that is important. So don't ever worry about the things you might be exposed to, because the training kicks in and it just carries you through. And if you do have a moment, don't worry, there'll be somebody there to catch you.
Wow, that sounds very reassuring, and if anything, very great as an experience itself, right? So throughout the entire journey. Thank you so much for sharing this, Heidi. And to finalize it on a fun note as well, as we tend to do as a tradition here in the TFS podcast, or the Future of Skills podcast, is the idea around defining a certain skill in a language that would fit a 5-year-old. So can you please let know a 5-year-old who a police officer is?
Okay, good question. So a police officer is somebody who wants to help and to make sure that we're all safe, and to deal with people that aren't maybe so good and aren't doing the right things. I'm thinking of your 5-year-old here.
Absolutely.
So I think it's somebody that wants to work within communities, that wants to make a difference, that has good, strong values on what's right and wrong, and generally just wants to help people and make the country be better. That is someone you can approach, someone that will help you. So if ever you get stuck or scared, or you get lost or separated, from people that are caring for you, then look for a police officer. They will always help you. Be safe with them.
Heidi, thank you so much. You've given me a lot of sense of respect for what you guys do within the police department. But thank you so much for doing what you're doing. It's
Lovely.
reassuring and it's honorful. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.